Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Best English Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and today I am absolutely thrilled to have you join me today. If you're new to our channel, I want to say that. You didn't find us by accident. You're here because you want to grow, to learn, to become a better version of yourself. And you're not alone on that journey. We share meaningful educational videos every single day because we believe that a little knowledge shared with love can truly change lives. So if you're ready to take that next step, to learn something new, to feel inspired, and to believe in your own potential, then stay with us. Subscribe, and let's walk this path of growth together, one day at a time. And today, we're embarking on a journey to explore a universally shared experience, one that often feels like a secret battle we fight within ourselves. It's that familiar whisper in your mind that says, "Do it later." That quiet nudge to postpone, to delay, to simply put off until tomorrow what could be done today. Yes, we're talking about procrastination. It's much more than just being a little bit lazy. It's a fascinating, sometimes frustrating, dance our minds perform, and it can become a powerful barrier standing between us and our deepest desires. Throughout this episode, we won't just define procrastination. We'll delve into its hidden corners, understanding why it appears in our lives, and, most importantly, we'll uncover practical, real-world strategies to gently guide ourselves away from its grasp. I'll share stories, real, relatable narratives that paint a clearer picture of this phenomenon, offering you not just insights, but also valuable opportunities to sharpen your English listening comprehension and expand your vocabulary. So, whether you're commuting, exercising, or simply taking a moment for yourself, I invite you to truly listen, open your mind, and let's explore how we can transform our relationship with our tasks one story at a time. To truly conquer anything, we must first understand its nature. Procrastination, you see, isn't a simple beast. It's a complex psychological phenomenon that often masquerades as something else entirely. At its heart, procrastination is the voluntary postponement of an intended action, even when you know there might be negative consequences later. That word, voluntary, is key. It implies a choice, a conscious decision to delay, even if that decision is driven by unconscious fears or uncomfortable emotions. This is where it parts ways with simple laziness. Laziness, for instance, might mean choosing to relax on the sofa because you genuinely feel no motivation to do anything else, and you're perfectly content with that. But with procrastination, there's often an underlying tension, a faint hum of guilt or anxiety about the task left undone. You know you should be doing something, but you're not. Imagine two people looking at a sink full of dishes. One person thinks, "I'll just leave these, I'm too tired to care," and genuinely feels at peace with that decision. That's more like laziness. The other person looks at the dishes, sighs, thinks, "I really should do those," but then walks away to watch TV, feeling a small knot of stress begin to form in their stomach. That second person, they're caught in the web of procrastination. Now, procrastination takes many forms. It's a master of disguise. Let me share a few common scenarios through stories. Consider the perfectionist's paralysis, a common form where the fear of not doing something perfectly becomes so overwhelming that it prevents any action at all. This isn't about a lack of desire, it's about a crushing weight of expectation. There was a young architect named Leo, a truly brilliant mind. He dreamed of designing a unique, sustainable community center for his city. He had countless ideas, sketches filled with innovative designs, and boundless enthusiasm. Yet, when it came to translating these visions into the final, detailed blueprints, he found himself stuck. He'd spend weeks refining a single line on a drawing, endlessly researching new materials, or reorganizing his design software. His office was immaculate, his research meticulously categorized. But the final design, the one he needed to submit, remained frustratingly incomplete. He was so terrified that his masterpiece wouldn't live up to the perfect image in his head, that the fear of making any mistake kept him from making any progress. He was paralyzed by the pursuit of flawlessness. This is a common hurdle for English learners, too. Perhaps you want to speak English perfectly before you even utter a word. But remember, language learning is a journey, not a perfect performance. Then there's what I call the rebellious resistance. This happens when we delay tasks as a subtle or even defiant act against external demands or against authority we resent. Think of Chloe's creative block. Chloe was a talented graphic designer working for a large, somewhat rigid corporation. Her boss, Mr. Henderson, was known for his micromanagement and often assigned tasks that Chloe found creatively stifling. One day, she was given a major design project for a new product launch, with very strict, uninspired guidelines. Chloe felt her creativity suffocated. Instead of tackling the design, she found herself meticulously cleaning her email inbox, reorganizing digital files, or spending hours on personal art projects that had nothing to do with work. She knew the deadline was approaching. She felt the pressure. But there was a quiet, almost satisfying sense of defiance in her inaction. She wasn't consciously saying no, but her actions were shouting it. Her procrastination was a form of silent protest against what she perceived as an oppressive creative environment. Another prevalent type is the fear of failure freeze, where the anxiety of not succeeding leads us to avoid the task altogether. Samir was a diligent student, excellent in science. He dreamt of getting into a top engineering program. His final exam in advanced physics was looming, a massive hurdle. He spent hours watching complex physics lectures online, reviewing every textbook chapter, even helping his friends study. But when it came to sitting down and doing practice problems, the kind that would actually reveal his weaknesses, he'd find every excuse to avoid them. He'd tell himself he needed more theory first, or that he was too tired. Deep down, he was terrified of getting answers wrong, of seeing his gaps in understanding. The fear of not scoring perfectly, of not being smart enough, was so immense that he avoided the very practice that would have led to his success. He chose guaranteed inaction over potential failure. Interestingly, there's also the fear of success sidestep. This might seem contradictory, but sometimes we unconsciously hold ourselves back because success itself can bring new challenges, more responsibility, or uncomfortable changes. Consider Anna's almost breakthrough. Anna was a passionate, self-taught chef who dreamed of opening her own small, cozy restaurant. She spent years perfecting her recipes, building a loyal following through pop-up dinners, and even found the perfect location. When a local business incubator offered her a substantial grant and mentorship to finally launch her restaurant, she started dragging her feet. The paperwork for the grant piled up. The calls from the mentor went unanswered. The perfect location sat vacant. She was incredibly close to realizing her dream. But the thought of the immense pressure, the long hours, the relentless public scrutiny, and the potential impact on her personal life was, paradoxically, terrifying. She delayed until the opportunity almost slipped away. She was afraid of the very thing she had worked so hard for. And then there's the last-minute thrill seeker. You know this person, or maybe you are this person. This is the individual who claims they work best under pressure. David, for example, was a software developer who always submitted his code just minutes before the deadline. His colleagues often marveled at how he seemed to pull off miracles at the 11th hour. But what they didn't see was the immense stress, the all-nighters, the countless cups of coffee, and the occasional errors that crept into his rushed work. He had trained his brain to associate high pressure with productivity, creating an adrenaline-fueled cycle that was ultimately unsustainable and led to unnecessary anxiety. While it might sometimes work, it's a high-risk strategy that rarely produces one's best work. So, why do we get tangled in these webs of delay? The roots of procrastination often lie deep within our psychology. A major reason is emotional regulation. Procrastination is frequently a desperate attempt to manage uncomfortable emotions like boredom, anxiety, frustration, insecurity, or even the fear of judgment that are associated with a particular task. Our brain, always seeking the path of least resistance and immediate comfort, suggests avoiding that unpleasant feeling by doing something more enjoyable right now. It's a short-term escape that unfortunately leads to a long-term problem. For example, if you have to write a formal email in English and you're worried about making mistakes, your brain might say, "Oh, just check Instagram for a minute," offering instant, albeit fleeting, relief. Another significant factor is a lack of self-regulation or impulse control. Our brains are wired for immediate gratification. The instant pleasure of scrolling through social media often seems far more appealing than the delayed satisfaction of completing a challenging report. The immediate reward of doing something easy or fun often trumps the delayed gratification of completing a difficult but important task. This is the battle between your present self craving comfort and your future self longing for accomplishment. Furthermore, vague goals and feeling overwhelmed are huge culprits. When a task feels too big, unclear, or just daunting, it's incredibly hard to know where to start. Imagine being told, "Learn English perfectly." That's a huge, daunting goal. Compare that to a much clearer, smaller step like, "Practice 5 new English vocabulary words today." The latter feels achievable, while the former can paralyze us. Sometimes, we also perceive a lack of skills or resources, genuinely believing we don't have the ability or the right tools to complete a task, leading us to avoid it altogether. If you tell yourself, "My English isn't good enough to practice speaking," you'll likely avoid speaking practice altogether. And in our modern world, distractions are everywhere. The digital age has made procrastination easier than ever before. Notifications constantly ping. Social media feeds scroll endlessly, and there's an infinite amount of content to consume. Think about how your smartphone contributes to your own moments of procrastination. Are you often pulled away from what you should be doing by a quick glance at your screen? It's a powerful, ever-present force, constantly vying for your attention. Finally, there's the planning fallacy. our tendency to wildly underestimate how long tasks will actually take, and at the same time, tragically overestimate our future motivation. We tell ourselves, "Oh, I'll do it later. It won't take long." But inevitably, it always takes longer. And our future self isn't magically more motivated than our current self. This illusion often sets us up for failure and last-minute panic. So, how does all this affect our lives, beyond just the undone task? Well, it leads to increased stress and anxiety from those looming deadlines and the gnawing guilt. It results in reduced performance and a lower quality of work because rushed efforts are rarely our best. We miss out on incredible opportunities, whether it's applying for that dream job or finally pursuing a long-desired hobby. Our self-esteem takes a hit. As we start believing, "I always put things off, I'm just not disciplined," which can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it can even impact our relationships through forgotten promises or missed important dates with loved ones. It truly casts a long, often draining shadow over many aspects of our lives. Wow, that's a lot to unpack, isn't it? But understanding why we procrastinate is truly the first, most crucial step towards changing our habits. Now, let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll start exploring the practical, powerful strategies to fight back against this invisible enemy and reclaim our time and peace of mind. Stay with us. Now that we have a much clearer understanding of the roots of procrastination, it's time to arm ourselves with some powerful tools and techniques to overcome it. This next part is packed with actionable advice, and we'll illustrate each strategy with clear examples and mini scenarios to make them truly understandable for you, our intermediate English learners. One of the most effective ways to conquer a giant task is by breaking it down. Think of the old saying, "How do you eat an elephant?" One bite at a time. A large, overwhelming project can feel exactly like that elephant, too immense to even consider starting. This is where the strategy of task chunking, or creating micro-tasks, comes in. Instead of staring at a daunting goal like write a research paper, which can feel like writing an entire book, break it down into the smallest possible, most actionable steps. For example, if your task is prepare for the English speaking exam, that feels huge, right? Let's break it down. Research common speaking topics. Then brainstorm ideas for topic 1. Then write down key vocabulary for topic 1. Then practice speaking about topic 1 for 5 minutes. And finally, record myself speaking about topic 1 for feedback. Each step is small enough to feel achievable, building momentum as you complete them. You're building a ladder, one rung at a time. Let's try a mini practice right now. If your big task is organize my digital photos, what are 3 small, manageable steps you could take? Take a moment to think about it. You might have thought of things like create main folders for years, 2020, 2021, etc. Or move just the photos from January 2024 into its folder. Or delete only blurry photos from last month. See how much less intimidating those sound? The phrase less intimidating means less frightening or less worrying, making it easier to start. A brilliant extension of this idea is the 2-minute rule, popularized by productivity expert David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done. The rule is simple. If a task will take less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. Don't put it on a list. Just get it done. Sending that quick email, washing that one dirty dish in the sink, replying to that text message, tidying up the book you just finished. These are all perfect candidates for the 2-minute rule. The immense benefit here is that it builds momentum, prevents small tasks from piling up into a mountain, and reduces mental clutter. It's truly amazing how many small actions, when delayed, can create a sense of being overwhelmed. Let me tell you about Emily, the marathon writer. Emily had always dreamed of writing a novel, a grand story living vividly in her imagination. But for months, she would sit down at her laptop, staring at a blank screen, feeling utterly overwhelmed by the sheer size of the project. She just couldn't start. Then she heard about a 1-paragraph-a-day challenge. It sounded so small, so simple. She committed to writing just 1 paragraph, no matter how good or how bad it was, every single day. Some days the words flowed, and she wrote much more. But even on her busiest, most tired days, she managed that 1 paragraph. After a year, she had a complete, rough draft. It wasn't perfect, of course, no first draft ever is, but it was done. And she felt an incredible sense of achievement. Her consistent small effort led to a monumental outcome. Imagine that, a whole novel, born from just 1 paragraph a day. Next, let's talk about tackling that initial resistance, that wall we hit before we even begin. This is where the 5-minute rule, or 10-minute rule, comes in handy. It's incredibly simple. Commit to working on that dreaded task for just 5 or 10 minutes. Tell yourself, I only have to do this for 5 minutes. Often, what happens is that once you start, the task isn't as bad as you imagined, and the initial inertia is overcome. So you just keep going. Your brain's resistance is highest before you start. Once you're in motion, that inertia kicks in, and it's easier to continue. It's like a rolling ball. Once it starts moving, it takes less effort to keep it going. If you dread exercising, for instance, tell yourself you'll just do 5 minutes of jumping jacks. You might be surprised when you find yourself doing 20 minutes. This rule is a powerful psychological trick to bypass your brain's tendency to avoid discomfort. A similar powerful strategy is to eat the frog, a concept popularized by author Brian Tracy, drawing from a quote by Mark Twain. Twain famously said, "If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first." In the context of productivity, eating the frog means doing your most difficult, least appealing task first thing in the morning. Getting that hardest thing done liberates your mind for the rest of the day. The worst is over, and everything else feels much lighter. Think of Mark's morning mission. Mark used to dread his accounting homework. He'd put it off until late at night, feeling that heavy sense of dread hanging over him all day. Then, he started doing it for just 30 minutes every morning before work. Even if he didn't finish it entirely, he felt a huge weight lifted off his shoulders, and the rest of his day felt much lighter and more productive. It's like a mental victory early in the day that sets a positive tone. Another practical tip: prepare your environment. Reduce any friction that might prevent you from starting. Friction here refers to anything that makes it harder to begin. Lay out your workout clothes the night before if you plan to exercise in the morning. Clear your desk completely before you start studying or working. Close all distracting tabs on your computer. If you need to study English, get all your books, notes, pens, and even your water bottle ready and within reach the night before. This removes excuses and makes starting easier. You're essentially setting yourself up for success, making the path to action smooth and inviting. Now, for a quick practice prompt, think of one task you've been putting off. How can you apply either the 5-minute rule or the eat the frog strategy to it tomorrow? Take a moment to imagine yourself doing it. Perhaps say aloud, "Tomorrow I will use the 5-minute rule for," or "Tomorrow I will eat the frog by." Once we've learned how to get started, the next step is to master our time through structure and smart scheduling. One excellent strategy is time blocking. This means actually scheduling specific times for specific tasks on your calendar, treating these blocks as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. It's not just a to-do list, it's a when-to-do list. For example, you might schedule Monday 9 to 10 a.m., Project X deep work, or Tuesday 2 to 3 p.m., respond to emails. This creates a clear roadmap for your day and reduces the mental energy spent deciding what to do next. It's like reserving a specific time slot for an important meeting. But the meeting is with yourself and your goals. This proactive approach takes away the "should I do this now?" mental debate. Perhaps one of the most famous and effective time management techniques is the Pomodoro technique, developed by Francesco Cirillo. Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato, referring to the tomato-shaped kitchen timer he used. The technique is simple. You work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer 15 to 30-minute break. The benefits are immense. It boosts focus by creating short, intense work sprints. It prevents burnout by ensuring regular breaks. And it makes large tasks feel much less daunting by breaking them into manageable segments. For you, our English learners, you could dedicate a Pomodoro to listening intently to an English podcast, another to practicing speaking with a language partner, and another to grammar exercises. The short timed bursts help you maintain high focus and prevent your mind from wandering. Let me share the story of Lena's language leap. Lena was dedicated to improving her English. She practiced daily, but often felt scattered, and her motivation would often disappear after just 10 minutes of studying. A friend suggested she try the Pomodoro technique. Lena downloaded a simple timer app and committed to 25-minute sessions. She would set the timer and focus intensely on her English textbook, closing all other distractions like her phone or social media tabs. When the timer buzzed, she'd take a short break, stretch, grab a glass of water, and then go for another 25-minute session. She quickly found that she could concentrate much better. Her study sessions became more consistent, and her English skills improved dramatically. The structured approach made all the difference. She discovered that knowing a break was coming helped her stay engaged during the work periods, transforming her study habits. Another powerful strategy for managing your time and tackling procrastination is prioritization, specifically using the Eisenhower matrix. This method, attributed to former U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, helps you categorize tasks based on their urgency and importance. Imagine a simple 4-quadrant grid that helps you decide what to do first and what to let go of. Your first quadrant contains tasks that are urgent and important. These are your crises, looming deadlines, and pressing problems that demand immediate attention. These are the things that are literally on fire and need your full attention right now. You do these first. In your second quadrant, you have tasks that are important, not urgent. This is where your most impactful, long-term work happens. Things like strategic planning, skill development, building relationships, and proactive measures. These are the seeds you plant for future success, the activities that prevent future crises. This quadrant is crucial but often neglected by procrastinators because there's no immediate pressure. You schedule these, make dedicated time for them. Your third quadrant is for tasks that are urgent, not important. These are often interruptions, some emails, certain meetings, or requests from others that feel pressing but don't significantly move your own goals forward. They feel urgent because someone else is asking for them now, but they don't contribute to your core objectives. You try to delegate these if possible, or minimize the time you spend on them. Ask yourself, does this really need my attention right now, or can someone else handle it? And finally, your fourth quadrant is for tasks that are not urgent and not important. These are true time wasters, distractions, busy work, or things that simply don't add value. These are the activities you can happily live without. You eliminate these. For a quick practice, think about your own to-do list right now. Can you pick one item that falls into the important, not urgent category in your second quadrant and commit to scheduling time for it this week? This is often the quadrant where our biggest dreams reside. But procrastination often prevents us from reaching them. For example, maybe it's spending 30 minutes reading an English novel for pleasure, or preparing for a future English presentation that isn't due for a month. Beyond techniques, our mindset plays a huge role in overcoming procrastination. We need to actively boost our motivation. A very effective way to do this is through reward systems. Acknowledge your efforts and give yourself a small, enjoyable reward after completing a challenging task or a series of tasks. This taps into our brain's natural reward system, making the initial pain of starting a difficult task less daunting. For example, you could tell yourself, after I finish this report, I'll watch one episode of my favorite show. Or, after I study English for an hour, I'll have a nice cup of coffee or call a friend. The key is that the reward should be something you genuinely look forward to. And it should come after the task is completed, not before or during. This creates a positive association with the hard work. Another powerful mental strategy is to visualize success. Before you even begin a task, take a moment to imagine yourself successfully completing it and experiencing the positive feelings that come with it. If you have a difficult presentation, visualize yourself speaking confidently, answering questions articulately, and receiving applause or positive feedback. If you're learning English, imagine yourself having a fluent conversation, understanding a movie without subtitles, or easily navigating a foreign city. This mental rehearsal can build confidence and reduce anxiety. It's like mentally walking through a difficult performance before stepping onto the stage. Crucially, when you're fighting procrastination, practice self-compassion, not self-criticism. Understand that procrastination is a deeply ingrained habit for many, not a fundamental character flaw. Berating yourself, telling yourself you're lazy or useless, only fuels more procrastination. Negative self-talk becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, dragging you deeper into the cycle. Instead of thinking, I'm such a procrastinator, I'll never get this done, try a gentler, more proactive approach. Okay, I've put this off. What's the very next small step I can take right now to get started? Be your own supportive coach, not your harshest critic. Remember, speaking kindly to yourself in English is also great practice. Forgive yourself, learn, and move on. Having accountability partners can also work wonders. Share your goals with a trusted friend, family member, or colleague. Check in with each other regularly. Let me share the story of Liam and Chloe, the study buddies. Both Liam and Chloe were struggling with motivation for their respective online courses. They decided to become accountability partners. Every Monday morning, they'd share their specific goals for the week. Every evening, they'd send each other a quick text message. "Did you hit your targets today?" Knowing someone was checking in, even just a simple message, made a huge difference for both of them. It added an external layer of commitment that helped them stay on track. The desire not to let someone else down can be a powerful motivator. Finally, always focus on your why. Remind yourself of the ultimate purpose or benefit of completing the task. Why are you studying English? Is it to travel the world, to get a better job, to watch movies without subtitles, to connect with people from different cultures? Connecting to this bigger picture, this deeper motivation, can reignite your drive when you feel like putting things off. If the task itself is boring, thinking about its end result can provide the necessary push. This why is your guiding star, your ultimate reason for pushing through the discomfort. It connects your immediate action to your long-term vision. That's a powerful set of tools, isn't it? Remember, you don't need to try every single one of them at once. Experiment, find what works best for you, and be patient with yourself. We're going to take another quick break, and when we return, we'll talk about building these changes into lasting habits and how to gracefully handle the inevitable setbacks. Don't go anywhere. We've already covered how to understand procrastination and armed ourselves with practical strategies. Now, let's discuss how to make these positive changes stick. And, crucially, what to do when things don't go according to plan, because that will happen to all of us. The key to lasting change lies in the science of habit formation. Charles Duhigg, in his excellent book The Power of Habit, explains the concept of the habit loop, which consists of 3 parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior, like seeing a messy desk or a specific time of day. The routine is the behavior itself, such as tidying the desk or starting a work task. And the reward is the positive feeling or outcome you get, like a clean space, a sense of accomplishment, or reduced stress. To apply this to anti-procrastination, first, you need to identify your procrastination cues. What usually triggers you to put things off? Is it opening social media, feeling overwhelmed by a big task, or receiving a difficult email? Once you know your cues, you can then change the routine. Instead of the old loop, cue, difficult task appears, then routine, check phone, then reward, temporary distraction. Try to create a new productive loop. Cue, difficult task appears. Then routine, apply the 5-minute rule or break it down. Then reward, sense of accomplishment, reduced anxiety, actual progress. This new routine needs to be practiced consistently, over and over, until it becomes almost automatic. You can also design your environment for success. This means making the desired behavior easier and the undesired behavior harder. If your phone is a major distraction, physically put it in another room during your focused work or study time. Install website blockers for specific sites you tend to wander to, or apps that lock you out of distracting applications for set periods. If you need your computer for work, make it a habit to close all unnecessary tabs before you begin. For true deep work, consider dedicated periods where you disconnect from the internet entirely for short bursts. Also, try to schedule your social media or entertainment time, rather than letting it constantly interrupt your work. This gives you permission to enjoy it later, guilt-free. Imagine trying to learn English but having your favorite game open on your computer. It's a constant temptation. Remove that temptation, making the productive choice the easier one. Let me tell you about Sarah, the digital detox streamer. Sarah absolutely loved watching online videos, and it was her biggest procrastination habit. Every time she sat down to work, her fingers would automatically open YouTube. She identified her cue. Sitting at my desk, her old routine was open YouTube and watch for an hour. Her new desired routine, open my work document immediately. Her reward was not only getting the work done, but also enjoying YouTube guilt-free later, knowing she'd been productive. To help herself, she took a bold step. She installed a website blocker that automatically activated during her designated work hours. It was hard at first. She felt the urge to browse constantly. But slowly, with persistence, the new routine became easier, and her focus improved dramatically. This is a classic example of creating an environment of no choice for your productive self, essentially forcing your hand in a good way. Now, let's be honest. You will overcome obstacles and experience setbacks. This is part of the human journey. It's absolutely okay if you don't stick to your plan perfectly every single day. The goal is progress, not perfection. Remember, one missed day doesn't mean you failed completely. It just means you're human. The key is simply to get back on track the very next day. Don't let one slip-up derail your entire effort. Think of it like learning English. You wouldn't stop practicing just because you made a mistake pronouncing a word, would you? You learn from it and try again. Each setback is a learning opportunity. It's helpful to identify your specific triggers and weaknesses. Take a moment for some self-reflection. When do you most often procrastinate? What emotions are you feeling at that moment? Tired, bored, anxious? What thoughts are running through your head? For example, perhaps you always procrastinate when you're tired. Or you consistently put off tasks you find boring. Once you know your triggers, you can plan for them. If you procrastinate when tired, schedule your most difficult tasks for when you're freshest. If a task is boring, try to combine it with something enjoyable, like listening to an English podcast while doing chores. This is called temptation bundling, and it can make unpleasant tasks more palatable. When you do have a slip-up, learn from it. Don't dwell on it. Instead of thinking, I procrastinated again, I'm useless, try a more constructive approach. Okay, I put off X today. Why did that happen? Was I too tired? Was the task too big? What could I do differently next time? How can I get started right now on something, even if it's small? This approach is about finding solutions, not just criticizing yourself. It's about resilience and moving forward. Consider using the pre-commitment strategy. This involves making decisions in advance that limit your future choices, making procrastination much harder. For example, tell someone you will send them the report by a certain time, creating an external deadline. Book a gym class with a friend, making it harder to skip. Or set a clear deadline with your supervisor. This adds a layer of accountability beyond just yourself. It's like burning the bridges behind you. leaving no option but to move forward. You commit to something before your future, less motivated self can sabotage it. Ultimately, overcoming procrastination is about building your anti-procrastination muscle. It's just like going to the gym. You wouldn't expect to run a marathon after just one day of training, would you? The more you practice these strategies, the stronger your self-discipline becomes. Be patient and consistent with your efforts. Each small victory builds your confidence and capability. Each time you resist the urge to procrastinate, you are making that muscle stronger. And with consistency, it will become easier and more automatic. Think about the incredible long-term benefits of living a proactive life. Imagine experiencing reduced stress and significantly improved mental well-being because you're no longer constantly battling deadlines and guilt. Your work quality will improve, leading to better results because you're not rushing at the last minute. Your confidence and self-efficacy, your belief in your ability to get things done, will soar. Ironically, by getting things done efficiently, you'll actually create more free time for leisure and relaxation. Time you can enjoy without the heavy weight of undone tasks hanging over you. And most importantly, you'll be on a clear path to achieving your goals and dreams, as procrastination is so often the biggest barrier to reaching them. Overcoming it truly opens up a world of new possibilities. This journey to overcome procrastination is indeed a marathon, not a sprint. There will be good days when you feel incredibly productive, and there will be challenging days when you slip back into old habits. But with the strategies we've discussed today, and a little bit of patience and a lot of self-compassion, you are truly well on your way to becoming a more productive, less stressed, and ultimately a happier individual. We've now reached the end of our incredibly in-depth discussion on how to stop procrastinating. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap the most important takeaways from today's episode. We learned that procrastination is often about emotional regulation, not simply laziness, and understanding its various forms helps us to pinpoint our own tendencies. We explored the incredible power of breaking tasks down into tiny, manageable steps, making even the most daunting projects feel achievable. We discovered that just getting started for a mere 5 or 10 minutes can effectively overcome that initial powerful resistance. We looked at how time management techniques like time blocking and the Pomodoro technique provide essential structure to our days. We talked about how to actively boost our motivation through strategic reward systems, positive visualization, and finding supportive accountability partners. We also emphasized that building lasting habits means understanding your cues and consciously changing your routines. And finally, how crucial self-compassion and learning from setbacks are for sustained progress. Remember, overcoming procrastination is truly a journey, not a final destination. It's about building new positive habits, practicing self-awareness, and most importantly, being kind and patient with yourself along the way. You won't be perfect every day, and that's absolutely fine. The ultimate goal is to make consistent progress, to reduce the amount of time you spend feeling stuck or guilty, and to free up your precious energy for the things that truly matter to you in life. Every small step you take to confront procrastination, no matter how tiny it seems, is a significant victory. Each time you start that dreaded task, even if it's just for a few minutes, you are actively building your anti-procrastination muscle. Think about the profound, positive impact this will have on your studies, your career, your relationships, and your personal well-being. Imagine the incredible feeling of accomplishment, the significant reduction in stress, and the boost in confidence that comes from consistently getting things done. For all of you, our amazing English learners, applying these strategies can also be a fantastic way to practice and internalize your English skills. Read about these concepts in English, listen intently to podcasts like this one, and actively try to explain them to yourself or a friend in English. Use the new vocabulary you've learned. The more you integrate English into practical real-life challenges, the faster and more naturally your language skills will grow. So, here's your challenge, a simple call to action for this week. Pick just one strategy we discussed today, perhaps the 5-minute rule, or the idea of breaking down a single task, and commit to trying it out on just one item you've been procrastinating on. See what happens. We'd absolutely love to hear about your experiences. You can connect with us by subscribing on our YouTube channels or leave a comment on our video. Share what you've tried and how it's worked for you. Your insights might just be the inspiration another listener needs. Thank you so much for joining me today on Best English Podcast. I'm Sophia, and until next time, remember to keep learning, keep growing, and keep taking those important, proactive steps forward. Goodbye for now.